Welcome, everyone, to a lovely Friday evening. We're beginning a new feature here on Hawk's page, Fireside Readings, where I, your host, Hawk, read all or part of a book to you next to a beautiful fire. Tonight, we're going to be going through a book written by Donald Trump's nominee for FBI Director, Kash Patel. And I'm not kidding, this is real. It's a children's book about the Steele dossier called The Plot Against the King. See, there's Kash right there. There's King Donald. And there's mean Hillary Queenton. Let's begin, shall we? The Plot Against the King, written by Kash Patel. Sounds exciting. Once upon a time in the land of the free, there lived a wizard called Kash, the Distinguished Discoverer. Kash was known far and wide as the one person who could discover anything about anything. He found the holy grape deep in the enchanted forest, and he discovered who had stolen the sleeping princess. There he is finding the holy grape, and there he is finding the stolen princess. The heralds who spread important news across the land with their herald trumpets, see, it's like you use the same word twice, okay, had sung of Kash's fame ever since he figured out that the Russianians were cheating in the jousting tournaments. But all of these quests had been easy for Kash. And as the sun rose and set over the land of the free, Kash found himself in grave danger. Not of trolls or ogres, but of getting bored. That is, until choosing day. On choosing day, the whole land gathered at the castle to choose the next ruler of the kingdom, because, you know, that's how royalty works. The heralds had been announcing that Hillary Queenton would be queen. She says queenly things like thee and thou and forsooth, and her last name is Queenton, after all. But when the royal counter-uppers counted up the final votes, they realized the people had dared to choose the merchant, Donald. The heralds and Hillary were horrified. Donald didn't care what the heralds said about him, and he was determined to make the kingdom great again. Thus, King Donald moved into the castle, and everyone turned to head home. But before the people could leave, a herald jumped onto his stand to make a proclamation. "Wait," he proclaimed through his trumpet. "Listen to what this noble knight says." Then a shifty-looking knight jumped onto the stand. "Donald isn't the rightful king. Inside this steel box, I have found a paper that says Donald cheated his way to the throne." All of the people gasped. "We're shocked. How could he do such a thing?" "Apparently," said the shifty knight, Adam Schiff with the Steele dossier, "Donald made friends with the Russianians while drinking sherry ginger ale at the Swirly Tower Tavern in Russionia, and they helped him cheat." All of the people nodded. The heralds must be right. After all, they have loud trumpets and important pieces of paper. King Donald must be a cheater. And even so, though they hadn't looked at all the facts, everyone agreed that King Donald was a cheater. Everyone except for Duke Devin Nunes, House Intelligence Committee, first 2 years of Trump's presidency, of the King's Court. See the herald and King Donald looking dejected? Everybody having fun so far? Duke Devon had known Donald for years, and he couldn't imagine that King Donald had cheated. The Duke was loyal to the core, which is why Kash was not surprised at all when he walked through Kash's front door. "Kash," said the distressed Duke, "I am distressed." Wow, that is some bad writing. "Kash," said the distressed Duke, "I am distressed." Okay, no editor, fine. "I know these terrible, tragical, tangle-full rumors can't be true of King Donald." This is the worst writing I've ever read. "But the heralds keep saying that they are true. It must be a plot against the king." "That is a very serious thing to say," said Kash. "Seriously? I'm not kidding." "What does King Donald think about all this? He calls them all fake heralds," shrugged the Duke. "But I must know what really happened." See, there's Devin Nunes talking to Kash Patel, Kash with his feet kicked back. This is worse than I thought it was going to be. "We can't decide if they're right or wrong until we know the facts. And if you're looking for facts, you came to the right place." Kash put on his wizard hat. "I am the distinguished discoverer, so I can discover anything about anything. I'll help you on one condition. I must share the truth with everyone, no matter what I find." "Of course," said Duke Devon. And so they set out on the quest for the truth about the plot against the king. There's Kash with his wizard hat with Duke Devon Nunes. For their first stop, Kash and Devon visited the Shifty Knight and his herald friends. "I'm absolutely sure that Sir Trump is a cheater," the Shifty Knight said. "I found the paper that proves it right here in this steel box." But when Kash looked into the box, he found a long, sticky, silvery streak of slime. "Ah," said Devon, "I've seen this before." He and Kash hurried to the slug stables in the shadowy corner of the castle. Okay, remember that this book is written for children. There's the slime. The keeper of slugs, named Keeper Comey, Jim Comey, was in charge of delivering all the king's secret messages. But on his desk, Kash spotted a suspicious letter. "Aha!" cried Kash. "Now we know where the mysterious rumor came from. All we have left is to discover whether or not Hillary Quinton is lying." And there's a letter that says, "Dear Comey, most sincerely I thank thee for the service of delivering my papers with thine slugs to the steel box so sneakily. Forsooth, in all the land shall not be found a deceiver so daring or so devious, all my love, Hillary Quinton." The fun part of this is that James Comey handed Donald Trump the 2020 election because of his investigations into Hillary Clinton. But that's neither here nor there. Forsooth! That very evening, Kash and Devon set off for the kingdom of Rushonia to seek the Swirly Tower Tavern, but when they arrived, there was no such place to be found. They searched and searched. They looked all around, all the corners and in all the cracks. They even asked the locals, who only huffed and grunted and could not help at all. No one had ever heard of such a place. "I've discovered," said Kash, "that the Swirly Tower Tavern cannot be discovered. The steel box paper is looking very suspicious." "It only makes sense," said Duke Devon. "Everyone knows King Donald doesn't even drink sherry ginger ale." Kash and Duke Devon hurried back to the land of the free, straight to the king's castle. They had an important meeting to call. "Where's the Swirly Tower?" All of the heralds and all of the knights filled into the room. The shifty knight stood at the very front. Kash declared, "The steel box paper is not true. We went to Rushonia only to discover there is no Swirly Tower Tavern. So now I need to know, do any of you have any other reason to believe that King Donald cheated in any way?" One by one, they all scratched their heads and cleared their throats and said, "No, I do not know of any other reason why." Afterwards, Kash followed the shifty knight outside. "If you don't have a reason to believe that King Donald was a cheater, why did you say all those nasty things about him to the heralds? We tried our best to find the evidence. Keeper Comey even sent his slugs into the castle to spy on the king. But I don't care that we couldn't find anything. I just really don't like Donald." The shifty knight shifted. There he is, shifting, shiftily. The shifty knight ran straight to the heralds. "Heralds," he said, "go forth throughout the kingdom. I have very good reason to believe that King Donald is a cheater." "What is it?" the herald said. "I can't tell you. It's a secret." The shifty knight smiled. "Ooh," said the heralds. They loved secrets. "We'll tell everyone right away." And so they did. All of the people nodded when they heard. They must be right. After all, they have loud trumpets and an important secret. And so everyone agreed that Shifty Knight was telling the truth, even though they didn't have any reason to believe him. Halfway through. As he watched all of this happen, the king became sad. We're halfway through the book, when the book about King Donald, we're halfway through when King Donald has his first line. "They're still spreading lies," he told Kash. "How will the people ever learn the truth?" Kash sighed. He knew the answer. It was up to him to present the evidence to the people. Gathering his courage and all of his evidence, Kash dashed up the stairs that wound around the gold tower, but Hillary and the Shifty Knight were right behind him. When Kash reached the top, he paused to tie his wizard shoes. Hillary and the Shifty Knight didn't see him stop, and they tumbled over him. There they're running. He's tying his shoes. They're tumbling, and they fall down into the moat or a river. Kash stood up and addressed everybody. "Everybody! I am Kash, the great wizard and the distinguished discoverer. I have discovered that the king, King Donald, is innocent. He did not work with the Rushonians, and he did not cheat. You chose him, so he became king fair and square." Hillary wrote that paper and had her sneaky slugs slided into the steel box for the Shifty Knight to find. There he is addressing everybody. "Now that you know more of the facts, it's time for you to think carefully and decide what you think of the king. Don't just trust the person with the loudest trumpet." The people paused and considered Kash's speech. We shouldn't have believed that the king was a cheater without any proof," they said. Now that they had all the evidence, they clapped and cheered and threw a huge party for their king, including distinguished guest Jeffrey Epstein. I added that part. The Shifty Knight tried to say Kash was lying, but the Knights of the Oval Table carried him, Hillary Queenton, and Keeper Comey out of the kingdom, banishing them forever. Some of the heralds kept spreading the rumor, but they soon grew bored. They moved on to more exciting tales, declaring the sun was made of mustard and would drip down and make everything yellow and mustardy. I'm not making that up. I'm not making that up. Kash only shrugged. As long as there were people in the land of the free, someone would be trying to spread this ridiculous story. But Kash was satisfied that he knew the truth, and after his proclamation, anyone else who wanted to know what really happened could learn it too. And so Duke Devon, King Donald, and Kash, the distinguished discoverer, went back into the castle to share a nice meal with no sherry ginger ale. With that, the kingdom was made great again, and from that day on, they all lived happily ever after. Aw, see, they're having such a nice time. The end. Then it came to light that prior to choosing day, King Trump had had sex with a former adult film star and a former Playboy bunny, and had paid each one of them 120,000 gold coins for them to be silent about how small his mushroom was prior to choosing day. And thereafter, when this came to light, King Donald was indicted on 34 felony counts, and then he went on trial and was convicted by a jury of 34 felony counts for interfering with the 2016 choosing day. And henceforth, King Donald will be known as a convicted felon. I added that last part too. So that brings to a close our Fireside reading with Hawk of The Plot Against the King, a children's book about the Steele dossier, written by Donald Trump's nominee to head the FBI, Kash Patel.